Be me, 26, copywriter at a mid-sized marketing agency that thinks team culture can fix burnout. We'd just finished 3 product launches in a row, morale was tanking, and HR decided what we really needed wasn't raises, it was a retreat. 2 nights in the mountains to reconnect with nature and each other. Translation: same meetings, fewer outlets. I wasn't exactly outdoorsy, but I told myself it might be fun. My manager, Lisa, said the goal was to break barriers. I joked I'd break something, alright. Probably my ankle. The agency rented cabins near a state park. The first night was supposed to be light bonding, dinner, a campfire, icebreakers. The next morning would be the big guided hike through the park, split into small groups. That night around the fire, everyone had boxed wine and cheap marshmallows. Someone pulled out a guitar, and suddenly, it felt like a corporate version of summer camp. William sat apart, cleaning his glasses, staring into the fire like he was memorizing it. Alicia nudged me. "There's your hiking buddy." I laughed. "Yeah, I'm sleeping with my whistle tonight." Jordan snorted beer through his nose. "You better hope HR doesn't hear you say that." It was all jokes then, the kind you think are harmless. If someone had told me that within 24 hours I'd be trapped in a tent with William of all people, cold, drenched, and depending on him for survival, I would have laughed. But that was before the storm. We met our guide at the trailhead, chipper ex-Boy Scout type, handing out laminated maps and safety tips. I had my hair in braids, leggings, brand new hiking boots that still smelled like the mall. The air felt crisp, clean, a break from screens. Each group had 4 people and 1 radio to call base if anything went wrong. I ended up with Aletia from content, Jordan from accounts, and William from IT. William was the office ghost, quiet, polite, but socially stiff in a way that made people keep their distance. Always in a hoodie, cargo pants, hiking boots, like he was prepped for a zombie apocalypse. Nice enough, I guess, just off. You know those guys who never make eye contact but somehow overhear everything? That was him. I'd only talked to him once when my monitor froze and he fixed it without saying a word. I thanked him, he just nodded and left. Alicia and I once nicknamed him Serial Killer Chic. Half joke, half not. So when I saw his name on our hiking team list, I groaned. Alicia laughed. "Imagine being stuck with him overnight. You'd have to sleep with pepper spray in your hand." I laughed too, 'cause that's what you do. You go along. William double-checked the group pack like he was prepping for an expedition. Water, first aid kit, multi-tool, even an emergency blanket. Overkill for a 4-mile trail, but whatever made him feel useful. When we started walking, Alicia and Jordan drifted ahead, swapping office gossip. William ended up beside me by default. He moved with that methodical pace of someone who actually hikes. Every few minutes, he'd toss out advice. "Watch your footing there. It's slick. You might want to tighten the chest strap. The weight'll pull less." I muttered, "I'm fine." Not that he was rude, just patronizing in that quiet, helpful way men can be without realizing it. After about an hour, we hit a steeper incline. I was sweating, hair sticking to my forehead, regretting every brunch burrito that replaced cardio this year. William barely looked winded. He offered to carry my pack for balance. "If I let you do that, HR would call it sexism," I joked. "It's just heavier than it looks." "I can handle a backpack, thanks." He nodded and kept walking. I rolled my eyes, but part of me hated how calm he looked while I was gasping like an asthmatic goat. By lunch, we reached a river clearing. Jordan bragged about his new boots, Alicia complained about bugs, and I kept swatting at mosquitoes. William sat a little away, fixing a bent tent pole from the van ride. Alicia leaned in. Imagine getting stuck out here overnight with him. I snorted. I'd just dig a hole and disappear. Jordan laughed. You'd have to mace him to sleep. We all cracked up. It felt harmless, just teasing a stereotype. I told myself he probably didn't even care. Later, William came over and offered to carry one of the heavier gear bags. I got it, thanks. He hesitated, then nodded and walked ahead. I felt oddly smug, like I'd proven something. That was kind of my thing lately, being the capable one. I'd dated enough guys who thought they were geniuses because they could change a tire. I told myself women didn't need rescuing, and maybe I said it too often. The sky started to darken mid-afternoon, clouds piling up fast. The guide said a drizzle was normal. We still had about an hour to reach camp before sunset. William kept glancing at the sky, his expression shifting. Not scared, just calculating. He adjusted his pack straps and muttered something about the wind direction. Relax, Bear Grylls, Alicia joked. It's a team hike, not Everest. He didn't answer, just kept walking, scanning the tree line. I rolled my eyes, but there was something about how serious he looked that stuck with me. It started drizzling halfway through the return hike. Just light at first. Nobody cared. We joked it made the trip authentic, but within 15 minutes it wasn't funny anymore. The sky went grey so fast it looked like evening. The wind came out of nowhere. One of the guides radioed all groups to head back toward the cabins before it got worse. We packed up and started walking, but the trails were muddy and visibility dropped. Alicia and Jordan led up front, laughing and talking. William checked the map every few minutes, headlamp clipped to his chest strap. I stayed behind him, watching how he moved. Slow, steady, not rushing like the rest of us. After about 20 minutes, the rain turned heavy. Water started running down the trail like a stream. We're close, right? Alicia shouted over the wind. Should be, I said. William looked at the map again and said, if we were on the right trail? That caught me off guard. What's that supposed to mean? We should have hit the main fork 10 minutes ago. Either we passed it or the sign washed out. So which is it? He scanned the tree line. Can't tell yet. Jordan took the radio and called in. Team 4 checking in. We may have lost the main trail. Static. No response. He tried again. Nothing. I felt my stomach tighten. The rain was colder now, heavier. My clothes were sticking to my skin. We tried going a bit further, but the trail curved upward and got steeper. Then came this deep rumble, low, long, like thunder, but wrong. William looked up. That's not thunder. The next thing I knew, a section of the slope ahead of us gave way. Mud, rocks, roots, everything sliding down fast. Alicia screamed. William grabbed my arm and pulled me back before I could even react. We stumbled, hit the ground hard, and when I looked up, the trail in front of us was gone. Just gone. Alicia and Jordan were on the other side, maybe 20 feet away, shouting. The drop between us wasn't huge, but it was slick mud and still sliding. No way across without falling. William yelled, "Don't move!" The ground still unstable. He crouched down, checking the edge, testing it with his boot. It crumbled under the pressure. Jordan tried the radio again. This time we got a crackly response. A man's voice, one of the guides. Copy that. We see your location marker. You two need to stay put till morning. Landslides are active and the weather's not clearing tonight. We're not that far, Alicia said. Doesn't matter, the voice replied. Stay separated. We'll send a team at first light. The radio cut again. I stared at William. So what, we just sit here? He didn't answer right away. He pulled off his pack, started sorting through it. Flashlight, tarp, small orange bag. We need cover before the temperature drops. It's already dropping. I cross my arms. We're going to freeze either way. He ignored that, checking the bag. Emergency tent. Small one. We can use it near those rocks. I blinked. Wait, we? He looked up. Unless you'd rather sleep in the open. I hesitated, looking at the rain coming down harder. There's only one? Yeah, he said flatly. It's better than nothing. He grabbed a small shovel from the pack and started clearing space near a rock ledge. I stood there uselessly, feeling stupid. You sure that's safe? Safer than standing under trees? Lightning risks higher there. He moved with focus, efficient, calm. I hated how calm he looked, while I couldn't even keep my hands warm enough to unzip my jacket. I crouched beside him eventually, mostly because standing around made me feel like a kid. What can I do? Hold that corner down, he said, pointing. I did. My hands were shaking, but he didn't comment. He just worked. Tent poles clicked together, tarp stretched, stakes hammered in with a rock. No wasted motion. When we were done, he wiped rain off his face and said, "Get inside. Try not to touch the walls. It leaks through." I hesitated. The tent looked barely big enough for one. "We'll fit," he said. "It's just overnight." I ducked in first. The inside smelled like plastic and damp nylon. I sat in one corner, hugging my knees. He crawled in after, careful not to bump me, then zipped the flap shut. The sound of rain got louder once we were enclosed. It was pitch dark except for his flashlight propped against the wall. He took off his wet gloves, rubbed his hands together for warmth. I tried not to look at him. "You all right?" he asked. "Yeah," I said quickly, "just cold." He nodded, pulling a silver emergency blanket out of the kit and tossing it toward me. "Use that. Keeps body heat in." "What about you?" "I've got layers." He turned off the light to save battery. I lay there, blanket crackling with every move, trying not to think about how close we were. His shoulder brushed mine once, accidentally. I shifted away fast. Outside, the storm kept hammering. Inside, it was quiet except for rain and the occasional creak of wind. I told myself I'd laugh about this later. But right then, I couldn't shake the feeling that the whole situation had flipped. That for the first time all day, I wasn't the one in charge. It must have been an hour before I started shivering hard enough to hear my own teeth. The emergency blanket helped a little, but it was thin and crinkly, and every move made it sound like foil. My leggings were damp, socks worse. My hands, my hair, even my thoughts felt cold. William hadn't spoken since turning off the flashlight. I could barely see him, just a solid outline in the dark. The air felt close, heavy, too full of everything I was trying not to think about. "Still awake?" I whispered. "Yeah." His voice was even, steady. "Think it's gonna stop soon?" "Doubt it. Mountain storms like this usually last all night." "Cool. Love that for us." He didn't answer. A loud crack outside made me jump. "What was that?" "Branch," he said. "You sound real sure." "I am." He said it like a fact, calm and unshaken. Somehow that composure made me more nervous. I stared at the tent wall, heart pounding, mind spiraling through worst-case reels. Every headline, every story, every whispered warning about women alone with men in the wrong place at the wrong time. That stupid internet question popped into my head. Would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear? I'd always said bear, no hesitation. Bears don't fake being nice first. Bears don't lie. And now, here I was. One tent, one man, no bear in sight. My throat tightened. I told myself I wasn't scared of him, just of the situation, but it felt the same either way. I turned my face away, hoping he couldn't hear the quiet sniff that slipped out. "You okay?" he asked softly. Yeah, I lied. He didn't press, just adjusted the flap near my side, checking for leaks. Stay left, that corner's pooling. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Minutes passed. My pulse slowed a little. To distract myself, I asked, "You do this kind of thing for fun?" "Hike?" "Yeah, pretty often." "Figures," he shrugged. "It's quiet. Easier than people sometimes." That landed harder than I expected. A while later, he slid his jacket toward me. "Here." "I'm fine." "You're not?" "Take it," I hesitated, then took it. It smelled faintly of rain and soap, still warm on the inside. A gust hit hard enough to rattle the poles. He reached up to brace one, hand brushing mine. I flinched out of instinct. "Sorry," he said quickly. "It's fine," I muttered, embarrassed by how automatic the reaction was. He glanced at me in the dim light. "You don't have to look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you're waiting for me to do something." I froze. "I'm not." He wasn't angry, just steady. "I get it. You don't know me. You're cold, tired, stuck. Anyone would be on edge." I wanted to deny it, but he was right. The truth sat heavy between us. After a beat, I said quietly, "It's not fair, but yeah. I was nervous. I've read too much stuff, I guess." "About what?" "Men. Camping stories. You know, how it's always safer with a bear." I gave a weak laugh. He smiled a little. "Bears don't know how to pitch tents." "Yeah, well, I figured men didn't either." That broke the tension just enough for me to breathe again. The rain hammered on. He leaned over, checked the stakes, then said, "You should dry your socks." "You say that like I packed extras." "Use the blanket." "Can you maybe not look?" He turned away instantly. "Go ahead." I peeled them off, hands shaking, and blotted them with the blanket. "Okay," I said finally. "Better?" "Not really." "It'll help." Watching him move, methodical, careful, made something shift in me. I hated that I'd been scared of him. Hated that the fear felt automatic, baked in, but it also felt like the first time I actually saw him. Not a threat, just a guy trying to keep us alive. I surprised myself by whispering, "Sorry for earlier." "For what?" "For thinking you were the kind of guy I needed pepper spray for." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You don't have to be sorry. You didn't know me still. I was kind of a jerk." He half smiled. "You were scared." "Bears are scary." That made me laugh, and the sound cracked something open. The tension spilled out as tears I couldn't stop. I covered my face. "God, this is embarrassing." "Storm rules," he said gently, "doesn't count." That line hit me harder than it should have. I laughed again, small but real. When the rain softened to a steady patter, he checked the tent ties again, pressing a rock against one that had loosened. Watching him do it, steady, capable, unbothered, made me realize something I didn't want to admit. I felt safe. Not comfortable, not relaxed, but safe. And that didn't fit any of the stories I'd told myself about men like him. To fill the silence, I asked, "Why'd you even come on this trip?" "You don't seem like the trust fall type." Lisa said I'd had to send someone. Everyone else had excuses, so you drew the short straw. "Pretty much?" He looked at me then, just for a second. "You hate it too, don't you?" "What? Camping?" "This whole bonding thing." I hesitated. "Yeah, pretty much." We both laughed quietly. He leaned back after that, arms crossed, eyes closing. I stayed sitting up, listening to the rain, trying to make sense of everything that had just shifted inside me. At some point, I must have drifted off. I woke to a scraping sound near the tent. "William," I whispered. "Yeah, I hear it." He clicked the flashlight on low, unzipped the flap halfway, just branches and dripping rain. He zipped it again and set the light down. "You're fine," he said. I nodded, lying back down, blanket tied around me. The tent felt smaller now, but less like a cage. His breathing was steady, the kind that anchors you without meaning to. For the first time that night, I didn't feel like prey, and that realization haunted me more than anything else. I woke up to silence. The rain had finally stopped. The only sound was water dripping from trees and the slow rasp of William breathing beside me. For a second, I didn't know where I was. Then the cold hit again, and everything came back. The tent smelled like damp nylon and wet earth. My body ached from sleeping half curled under the blanket. William was still sitting halfway upright, head tilted back, eyes closed. He looked like he hadn't really slept. One hand was resting near the tent flap, like he'd stayed ready all night. His jacket was still around me. I looked down and realized his shirt sleeves were rolled past his elbows, his forearms covered in goosebumps. He'd given me the only warm layer. I didn't know what to do with that. Outside, the light was weak and grey. Mist hung low over the trees. I checked the radio, static at first, then a faint voice. "Teams are mobilizing." "You two okay?" I answered, voice cracking. "We're fine. Just cold." They said they'd reach us within an hour. When I turned, William was awake. "They find us?" "Yeah," I said. "They're coming." He nodded once, calm as ever. There was an awkward pause. I didn't know what to say that didn't sound stupid or guilty. Finally, I mumbled, "Thanks. For not letting me freeze or panic or whatever." He gave a small shrug. "You did fine." "I didn't." He looked at me. "You were scared." "That's normal." I laughed under my breath. "I was more scared of you than the storm for a while." He didn't flinch. "I figured." "I'm serious." I thought. I hesitated, embarrassed. I don't know what I thought. That you'd snap or something. The whole women alone with men thing. I had the bear debate in my head that made him smile for real this time. "And? I think I owe the bears an apology," I said. He laughed quietly. It was the first real laugh I'd heard from him. We packed in silence after that, folding the tent carefully. He made sure I had the dry rations and the radio while he carried the gear. He didn't make a big deal about it, didn't act heroic, just did what needed doing. When we finally saw the rescue team's flashlights through the fog, I felt this weird mix of relief and something else I couldn't name. Alicia would never believe this. That bitch must have cursed me, LOL. Back at camp, everyone crowded us with questions. "You guys okay? Was it scary? Did you, cuddle for warmth?" Alicia winked. "Told you he was survival guy." I forced a smile. "Yeah, he was." William just gave a polite nod to everyone and started helping the guides sort gear like nothing happened. Later, while everyone was packing up to leave, I found him alone by the van, checking a map. "Hey," I said. He looked up. "Hey." "I wasn't kidding earlier," I said. "You really saved my ass." He shook his head. "You saved your own. I just built the tent. You also didn't murder me, so that's a bonus." He smiled, faint but genuine. "Glad I could surprise you." I laughed. "Yeah, me too." We stood there a few seconds, rain dripping off the cabin roof behind us, before someone called my name. He gave a small wave and went back to folding gear. When I got in the van, Alicia leaned over. "So, did serial killer Sheik redeem himself?" I looked out the window, watching him tie down the supply crate like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Yeah," I said quietly. He did. The drive back was long. Everyone talked, joked, planned where to stop for lunch. I just stared out the window, watching the mountain fade behind us. For the first time, I didn't feel smug or self-assured, just still. But I got lucky. If it had been any other man in that tent, it probably would have been the end of me. 99 out of 100 times, this story ends differently. They're always the problem, and I think I would still choose the bear.